so excited.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
All right, it's 12:04 on a Wednesday, less than a week until free agency, so that's kind of exciting. The draft is just around the corner. Not as exciting as it used to be when we would have watch parties and all that fun stuff. Tommy, those are you were covering the team when they were really brutal there. Eh?
Yeah, I certainly was.
Draft week was fun for you. Back then.
I was on the team.
You had like a 6-month lead up to draft day, and it's like you're selling hope. And there's no buy or payout at the end. Like those were desolate times, man.
That did suck. Gager, how are you doing?
Good.
Oh, I'm doing fine, man.
Good.
Thanks for asking.
All right.
Yeah, Two Guys and a Goalie. No Cass today. Cass will be back on Thursday. I won't be here Thursday. But Cass will be back on Thursday. Two Guys and Goalies brought to you by GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, and safety driving their success. GS has a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become a part of the team. Visit www.gsconstruction.ca and click Ready to Work, or visit their page at Indeed.ca. And with the Next Up Person program at GS Construction, it's not just a job, it is a career. I've talked about it a few times driving in. I'll be like in the morning early, be driving alongside a GS Construction truck. Today, I'm at a stoplight on my way coming down Stony Plain Road over to like 170th to come up. And one of the other dads from hockey pulls up right next to me at like 5:15, 5:20 in the morning. And I knew he works over in this area too. And I look over and I see him and we kind of wave. And then I was wondering in that situation, do we talk to each other? Do we unroll the window? So we did unroll the window. And I was like, off to work, eh? He's like, yep. I said, same route every day. He goes, yep. I said, all right, man, we'll see you. And then that was it. So I don't know. Do you
big gulps, huh?
When you pull up, next
later.
to somebody that you know at a stoplight and it's red, do you wave or do you roll down the window and talk to him? Because it wasn't awkward, but I don't know if I would do that for everybody. I like this guy. He's a good dude. So it's just like, hey, man, like, what's up? Off to work. Okay. Me too.
I think you fulfilled your duty.
Yeah.
Just the public duty there, and especially if you do appreciate
it's
them.
tough because who starts to roll down the window first?
Whatever.
Right?
I mean, I think you said it and you summed it up when you said that you like and appreciate this person.
Yeah.
So I think that is the sign, is like you took effort and time to actually acknowledge at an awkward situation like a stoplight.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. No, we live in a particular area of the world that it's seasonal too. Like in the wintertime.
Yeah. You're just gonna be like,
you're probably not rolling down that window, even if you like the person. So for you, Dusty, to roll down the window in good weather, I guess the ultimate litmus test is if you rolled down the window in the summer while it's raining. That's how you know that this person means something to you.
Now, I think what also factors in here is that I was rolling down my passenger side, so the rain wouldn't have impacted me much, but he would have been rolling down his driver's side, and the rain would have got him.
You know what?
So
valid.
If we would have met 2 days ago in the morning when it was a torrential downpour on the way in, I mean, I don't know what would have happened.
There was a funny joke. Dan Cleary had a Lincoln Navigator, and it was just had every bell and whistle back in the day. And we had a guy on our team, French guy, Martin Leitch. He drove a little Pontiac Sunfire, but no power anything, right? So when we pull up next to him, he'd have to give it the thing.
Oh yeah.
So
how's everybody doing?
The big thing, I would be in the car with Danny, and we'd pull up to Marty, and Danny would pretend he was unrolling this.
That actually is a pretty funny move.
Almost cruel, but
it was just hilarious. Yeah. And then, Yeah, because that joke doesn't go far anymore. I tried it the other day, and people are looking at me weird, like, what is he doing in his car?
Because nobody remembers the old roll up
Let me just roll down the window.
Also,
Yeah.
how does that sum up a first rounder compared to a ECHL, AHL?
I know. That's just,
Right?
that
That
sucks.
Lincoln now,
Yeah.
and then that was the year before I played again, and then Danny and I were, we were two peas in a pod for that year, but he had to go back to the Rock or Toronto or whatever. But I had to put his car onto a train to send it back to him. So I got this Lincoln
a
Navigator.
train by traveling on a train. Cool.
Yeah,
Like
so-
Fast and Furious.
Yeah. So I got to drive that thing for like a week and a half.
Come on.
Oh,
People thought you were a first rounder.
oh
eh?
yeah. I went.
Yeah.
I introduced myself as Dan Cleary.
Would that have been the nicest vehicle you ever drove for a little bit?
Yeah, by
Yeah.
far. It was terrible because my girlfriend, wife now, drove it too, and she goes, "We have to get one." Of
Oh
these
my
things."
God.
I'm like, honey, this thing is like it had.
Lower your expectations.
I remember sitting there and I thought, God, I worked out and I got in the car and I go, I think I need to go see the doctor. There's something wrong with my legs. They're not feeling right. Like I don't feel, and it was the air conditioned seats.
Oh,
That sounds like something I'd panic about. Straight to the doctor. What's wrong? My legs, I don't know. They're cold. It's just.
I didn't.
Do you
I
have
couldn't
air
figure out
conditioning?
why they were like all like.
So an air conditioned seat.
yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
the air
it's
came out.
cold.
Where does it come out?
No,
the
it just gets
seat
Out of
cold.
the seat.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like a reverse heated seat.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's
Really cool.
That's ahead of its time because that would have been like 20 years.
Yeah, that would have been a really fancy ride back
Yeah,
then.
guys, it's not that long.
Yeah, it's a little while
It's
ago.
a long ago. It is.
I had a Ford Taurus that got so beat up. I eventually just left it at a place where I worked. I was just like, I'm leaving. I'm getting a new vehicle. You can just keep this car. But only my door would open. None of the other three doors would open. So I had to get in and open all the doors. And the only way I could get my door open from the inside is I'd have to unroll the window, reach out, and open it up.
Oh,
So it was awful. Like
See,
this thing was a piece of junk.
I think you need that because it gives you an appreciation.
It really does.
For technology and cars later on. Like I have an old FJ. It's got nothing in it. It's got some power stuff, whatever. But my daughter is doing her driver's training. Like she's going with and they got a new, I don't know, Hyundai something. But it's got it puts the speedometer on the windshield and it's got all the
HUD.
yeah. And then she says she nailed parallel parking. Because basically there's a camera over the car. It shows you exactly where you are.
I love
Like,
that.
yeah.
I
How is
love
there
that.
a camera above the car?
Science, man.
I know.
It's beautiful.
It must be from a satellite.
It must be. I thought it was a drone. This car comes with
How
a
do
drone.
they get a shot of it above the car?
All these cameras.
I
and
think
then
it's the cameras and then it like
Oh.
brings it together and
Well, still, it's kind of cool.
It
is
is cool.
cheating.
Cool.
It's
It is
cheating.
cheating.
yeah.
Although with that said, I won't parallel park. Well, actually, I will in my truck, but I haven't done it like the classic backwards way. If I see a spot where I can kind of pull in,
Yeah.
sometimes if I leave behind and stuff.
I can use my FJ. I could have do surgery with that car. And I just know
You
exactly.
just
Really?
know it, right?
Yeah.
Because you've had it for so long. Yeah.
I had two of those Tauruses. They were both like the one broke down. I bought another one from my sister. It was like just a 2-year newer version, and that one blew up. And I left it in Medicine Hat. It made my parents come get
I
me.
remember that.
And then they eventually got me. My dad, I still owe him like five grand. It's like 20 years ago. But he's like, listen, I'm going to buy you a reasonable car if you're going to keep driving all over the province, calling hockey games and trying to find jobs. So I got like a Chevy Cruise,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that little car.
But to
It
get
was
you in there.
so cool though. I felt like I was a millionaire sitting in that.
Yeah. But that's just a little thing.
That was, you know what? Surprisingly, a ton of legroom.
Awanik has a cruise.
I think that's what it was. a
That's what
Chevy
he drives.
Cruise,
Yeah.
And the seat would go all the way back. I was extremely comfortable in that
That's
thing.
good.
Yeah.
Just
I
a
told
good
you
car.
we did go out to Mitch at Park Mazda and tried some of the new like the CX-90 and stuff.
Oh, you did, eh? Is that for your daughter or for the
no,
family? Oh, I was
she
gonna
doesn't
say.
get anything.
I was gonna say.
We'll need a new car here soon. But they're amazing.
Are
They're
they?
just spaceships, man.
I love what the technology in them and the front dash is now.
Crazy.
I'm envious. I'm close. I'm like
Aren't
a
you
year
close
away.
to a new car too?
Yeah,
you've had
just
some issues.
Stupid mortgage thing.
But
sucks.
now you're gonna get like a huge screen in it.
Yeah,
and everything.
I like that idea and concept.
And easily just put iHeart with one button.
Yeah, instead of
So easy. Yeah.
Especially when you're going down to Calgary and parading around the sidelines down there. It'd be nice to go down in style.
It would be. I like, and also like he'll drive or fly. You fly down there sometimes. Right?
I usually prefer to drive.
Yeah, I prefer to drive too because I get to go see my brother and you can.
Yeah, it's just like I can. Yeah. By the time you go to the airport, go through security, wait for the plane. By the time like it's barely quicker to fly down. Like so I like to drive. I can do that drive depending on the time of day very quickly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
but I do like going down there. It is fun. I like covering those games.
Gage, you make a good point. Scott over in the chat's like Joaquin for the win. Everyone needs to drive not a dream car for the first car.
Chevy Cavalier, 91.
Yeah, mine was. You know what? My parents pissed me off because they had we moved off the farm when I was 15 in grade 10. So then in high school I was living in town, and they bought this 76, 77, 78 short box, lower down blue Chevy, mint condition. I don't even know why they got it, but it had like a little racing wheel for the steering wheel, like just an amazing truck. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, and I remember I got my license, and in the final month of grade 10, I drove it to our junior high school a couple times, and people were like, holy shit, Nielsen, like this is like it was I had the best car in the school.
That is,
and then I
sick.
had it. I was just like, I'm rolling into grade 11. And like all the chicks are gonna think I'm cool. All the guys are gonna want to be me because I'm like, this is. If I ever become super duper rich, I'm finding out whoever has that truck now, and I'm buying it back because like right before grade 11 started, my mom and dad were like, well, you know, you're gonna be driving the girls to school and stuff because we're working, and I was and Heidi was only in grade 2 when I was in grade 12, so. So like, you know, we're gonna sell the truck and buy you a Ford Taurus. So instead, I roll into grade 11 in this. I was, what was that, 98? This was like a 1990 Ford Taurus. And I just went from hero to zero in the car game. And I'll never forgive them for that. I don't know who has that truck now, man, but that's the one.
Wait till you drive your kids to like high school. And then there's kids pulling up in nicer cars than I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, Tommy.
That's a shame.
Well, Tommy, you see them at high school, don't you?
Oh, my God.
All right, let's get moving along with two guys and a goalie. We'll get to number crunchers coming up, and then the goalie market we'll get to as well. Sarah Volley did a piece today on the goalie market, and the problem I have with it is that it's all these same guys that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody else on there that I'm out of nowhere. I'm like, ooh, okay, this is interesting. It's just so it's not a shot at Frank. I mean, this is just what the market is. But I clicked on it thinking, okay, like is there something else here that we're not seeing? And it's the same 5 dudes. Yeah. So we'll get to that. But Gage, you're like, what if they just ran it back between the pipes? Like what are the downsides? How detrimental could it be? Or is it like, oh, you'll be a really good team again next year and have another chance to win the Stanley Cup? Like, what happens, do you think, in this market? How's it viewed, both of you guys? Like, if they're just like, you know what, we're just going with these two guys.
Yeah,
it's met with disdain and anger, and but it does. Stuart Skinner had an off year. Right? I think we can all agree. Like it wasn't, I think he'll probably bounce back. And look, this is still a good team that has the capability of playing sound defensive hockey that usually translates into goaltender success, numbers, anyways. And we saw Stuart Skinner, his first year kind of taking the reins, become a all-star, a Calder candidate, and kind of slipped back a little bit. There were some bumps in the road, but I think just with his, now you have 3 years of experience, which isn't a lot for an NHL goaltender, that he can now take that experience into a season where, you know, your top guys are a year older. There's a different outlook, I think, going into this season than last season. I think Stuart Skinner can have a great year. It's just he needs to figure out how to be more of a difference maker throughout the regular season. Making that one save, not making the big save being down a goal or down 2, making the big save when it's tied or up 1.
Yeah,
those are the big saves that Stuart Skinner has to start making. There weren't enough of those last year, but saying that. He's had 2 kicks of the can. He's beaten some really good goalies along the way. So it would be irresponsible for the Edmonton Oilers management staff if they can get an upgrade in goal that they think is suitable. I think they probably have to pull the trigger that way too.
Here's a thought I had, because this is going obviously until free agency, and if there's anything that happens,
maybe
we're
through the summer here too. We'll be talking about
well, we even discussed the possibility yesterday of like, hey, and Gage, I think you touched on it too a day or two ago, where it's like, hey, you might end up with these guys to start the year, and then you can make a move during the season. That is a possibility. And these 2 got you to the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row. Did they win it? No, we know that. But I'm still a little bit taken aback. Not surprised. Surprised would not be the proper term for this. Taken aback of how dismissive some, not all people are, that Stuart Skinner can't still develop into the guy, or he can't get over the hump.
I mean, that's a kind of a fair point.
3 years in the NHL full time, 26 years old. You and I discussed Bobrovsky and how it took him a while, took him a stint in Philadelphia, and then finally when he got to Columbus and that team started getting better, he found himself too. Just the notion and the dismissiveness around him, where you get some comments and you see it, you go, Skinner ain't it. He can't do it. He sucks. And that's like, well, hang on a sec. Joaquin just brought up the fact that he beat some damn good goalies in the playoffs these last 2 years. Now, don't get me wrong. They had to pull him this year for a good chunk of the playoffs. And they got a good 7 games or 6 games out of Calvin Pickard, and that helped a lot. And then they got that small 2-game window with Pickard in 2024 in the playoffs. But just to dismiss him,
he's outplayed Ottinger 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and we applaud
Ottinger. Shutouts in 4 games this year during a stretch.
Yes. So that part of it, I'm like, can we collectively take a step back and go, hey, you might still just end up with him and Calvin Pickard next year, despite the desire for an upgrade. And it might be adequate. And listen, you might get a better understanding 25 games into 25, 26 of where the goaltending truly is at. And like, what if Stu comes in with confidence? What if he has an outstanding year? What if he earns that all-star nod rather than, being a fill-in for, I think it was Logan Thompson a couple of years ago? I think there's room for growth for him. And just the dismissiveness, I was like, wow, a little bit surprising that we don't remember how young he is in goalie terms.
They've beaten everybody in the West 2 years in a row with Stuart Skinner as a goalie, right?
He beats everyone in the West.
Yeah, like he has, there's no way around it. He's beaten everybody in the West 2 years in a row. So, but, there's some problems with his game.
Yep, absolutely.
Gage, are the things that hold Skinner back so far, how much of those are coachable to be fixed, or how much of it is his natural ability?
Depends on the coach, what he recognizes. Like,
we recognize lateral movement. I know we joke.
We talk about that all the time.
All the time.
And it's because it's not good.
Okay, so
what about that? Let's just go.
The first game I saw, like it was the bubble, and I was just freshly on Sportsnet with Gene. No one's in the building. Stuart Skinner gets the game against Ottawa, right? And Ottawa is just a train wreck.
Yeah.
Darnell Nurse's little, female dog. And he and I was watching him, and he looked, lack of a better term, it looked like he had skate guards on at certain point. But I equated it to just possibly just nerves, right? Because the first period wasn't great. Second period settled down, and he was quite economical, right? He looked better. Third period, a little bit jittery too. So I'll chalk that up to just his just nerves. The next year he comes back and it looks better, but it's still not like, you watch some guys and their movement's perfect, right? They're just so, it's effortless. It's just like watching a good skater. Like Carey Price in net. It's poetry.
Vasilevsky looks
too.
like he's one with the crease in the net.
It's a joke. Bobrovsky.
These guys are all-time greats, though.
Yeah. So
good point.
Saying all that and looking at Stuart Skinner's game, my main focus, my two main areas, along with everything else, but what I'm really focusing on is his skating ability and his puck handling. Because the skating ability, just working on edge work constantly, not just stopping pucks. I mean, lots of movement, and not even in the crease. I would have him almost like doing power skating with figure skaters, getting that edge control back and forth. You hear our boy Strutty say, like, I wish I would have done this training when I played, because I feel I'm just out there with kids, but I feel much more at ease on my edges. And put some tape on your stick. I don't know why you still.
I know you joke about that, but that's a legitimate thing, because like the blades now, it's not fiberglass with ridges. It's literally just that carbon fiber with a sheer veneer on it.
The only way you should only put like a few strands is if you're scoring 50. And last I checked, Stuart Skinner hasn't scored in the NHL yet, but he did score in junior.
He did score in junior, but Buddy Forbes, he had the call. Rolling. It's a great call. It's a good call.
But that's, I mean, and because like, if you were to ask me, the Florida Panthers probably have a good shot, depending on who they sign here, to getting back again. And one way to avoid that forward check is a goaltender that handles the puck a lot better than Stuart Skinner. He has to be able to get out there, stop the puck, and move it efficiently and quickly. And that's not, I mean, it's not in every goalie's game, and you don't have to have it, but those two areas I think he really needs to focus on in the offseason.
780-218-9999. Go ahead, Tommy.
I have a text, speaking of the text line.
Yeah, go on.
Trevor and Airdrie texting in says, chances of Oilers finding a goalie that's going to be a guaranteed upgrade is slim to none. What they need to do is improve their defensive play, pick up a top four right-handed D, so they don't need a goalie that has to stand on his head. He makes a good point. Like the early season troubles, you know, whether or not you want to look at Skinner, whatever, if Calvin Pickard had a rough game in the first couple of months, Oilers defensively were really bad. And it didn't really give their goalies time to find their game.
No.
And maybe that set Skinner down the path that he went last year, where his numbers and his game wasn't good. It was a regression, I think it's fair to say. But the upgrade part too, you alluding to Frank's
we'll get to that.
His list and what we talked about yesterday is very true. It is very true. Like, you're really talking about Jake Allen and Ville Husso and washed up John Gibson, and it's like that's not great. But anyway, I thought Trevor made a good point. Trevor and Airdrie, good text, man.
Couple more texts rolling in. Mike in Thunder Bay. How often does the Oilers team give up on goalies and they go elsewhere and do well? Why are people so willing to give up on Skinner so fast? He's young, only 3 years in, lots of playoff experience. I would give him one more season before deciding who he really is. And the Gord father is in and says Skinner can be a capable NHL goalie. The trouble is his window might not be 3 to 4 years from now before he really sort of hits his stride, and that won't work for the Oilers. And I know some people have texted it in. I'm seeing it over in the chat as well. Gager, as you try to keep Connor McDavid around forever, can you go to Connor McDavid and say, hey, we had some money to spend elsewhere. We clearly can't afford to do much else between the pipes. We're going to run it back with Skinner and Pickard again. Does that factor into it at all?
Yeah.
I mean, a guy of McDavid's status and what's on the line for him here in the future, I don't have a problem with superstar players in their sports having some say in the roster. I really don't. And I wonder what that conversation is like with Connor.
Don't you find it would be irresponsible for the GM to say, hey, this is what while you're in negotiations with Connor McDavid, to say this is kind of where we're heading in this direction? Because everything that management does is going to influence his decisions on whether or not the length of term he signs with the Edmonton Oilers, or hopefully not for Oilers fans, decides, nope, that's it. I want to test the waters, which the waters would be deep.
Yeah, those waters would be filled with gold. Lots and lots and lots of gold. He would be like Scrooge McDuck jumping into his big
pile of coins
gold in the vault there on the Scrooge McDuck show.
Like, you always look at the team that won, and there were just no changes. Like, you didn't see D-men switching partners, anything like that.
It was a machine, man. They were a machine.
And don't you think that's like, who was that from Airdrie? That Trevor. I mean, he makes a good point. You know, getting that one defenseman that's going to solidify and hopefully have some where you don't have to jump around with partners all the time and just, okay, we hope this works. We hope that works. And I understand having different looks throughout the regular season because injuries are a part of it. And maybe, at least you have some reference point with certain players, I guess, or know what works. But I look at the Florida Pan and those guys, I mean, even on the broadcast, I think it was, I don't know if it was Lundqvist or, anyways, they were saying how it's amazing what these guys are doing. Like as soon as one guy goes here and their partner is here and it's almost like they know where he is and they put the puck in that vicinity and they grab it. Like it was just, and that the only way you get that is by playing with the same people over and over and over and over again. Right.
That's something that definitely didn't happen here because you were switching up lines over and over and over and over and over.
How many breakups did the Panthers? How many breakaways did the Panthers give up?
Maybe one.
The others were giving up one a game, if not more.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, like that's not. It's not a goaltender's fault when the guys are breakaway out. You want to stop them, sure.
Yeah.
But what was it? At one point in the playoffs, I think Stuart faced 14 bloody breakaways
and allowed 8.
He let in 8 of them.
Yeah.
But he faced 14 in the playoffs. Like
you shouldn't have 14 in the regular season.
It's so I mean there's a lot of options there. So a lot of discussion points. Stupid Peter is saying, not sure if you guys have touched on this, but if Carter Hart comes out as not guilty in this case right now, would you see him as being an option? And Matt Kermala will be on tomorrow morning, 7:45 on the Nielsen show. We'll get the absolute latest on that. I know last time we talked to him, it was trending towards really those players being found not guilty. But I don't think it's going to be ruled on for a little while. I've also seen some people say that there might be a suspension for those guys anyway for a little stretch just because of the spot that they were in. I also thought Carter Hart had kind of fallen off the last few years as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Philly wasn't great. I mean, I watched quite a few Flyers games because I was interested in Carter Hart because there was talk about the Olympics. He was going to be the guy I wanted to see. He looked good. I think he was victim to a poor defensive team too.
Yeah.
But you want to see a guy that can move around and effort like he is really good on his feet. But I mean, that's a hot potato right there.
It is a hot potato. And then is he really better than Stuart Skinner?
Well, that's the thing.
Or is it a perception?
You got his numbers there?
I do.
Gage says he moves better than Skinner.
Yeah.
Okay.
The trajectory of the two is, I think, what motivated Stuart Skinner a lot of the ways. Like,
well, they trained together.
And he got everything kind of a golden path where Skinner's was ECHL to up and down American League and NHL. It gets a shutout, gets sent down. His road to the NHL has been a lot harder. So,
well, okay. Here are the stats. Like the career totals for Carter Hart is 294 goals against average in 227 games, 906 save percentage.
Those are almost identical to Skinner's.
Very similar. So Stu is at 189 NHL games in the regular season, 275 GAA,
better GAA,
and a 905 save percentage.
So one level,
1 point below. Now, Joaquin is right. Carter Hart was trending in the wrong direction. His win-loss total, like in 21-22, 13 and 24 with 7 OTL losses.
Once again, those teams suck.
They do suck, yeah. 22 and 23 with 10 OTL losses back in 22-23. And then 23-24 before everything happened with the whole court case and everything. Hockey Canada stuff. He was 12 and 9, 3 OTLs. And his save percentage very consistent in the last few years, 905, 907, 906. Goals against average 280, 294, 316. He had an absolutely atrocious set of averages in 2021 at 877 and 367. I'm pretty sure that was maybe the Flyers bottomed out that year. That was the bubble year. And he went 9-11 and 5 in that one. So really, he has had one standout NHL season. It was 29-20, 242 GAA, .914 save percentage, played in 14 playoff games, and he went 24-13-3 that year. Outside of that, guys, he hasn't really.
I mean, we'll see. If
together-
Carter Hart does get a chance to play in the National Hockey League again, if I were him, I'd probably want to go somewhere that doesn't care about hockey, somewhere that doesn't know who he is,
Yeah.
someone who doesn't even know what Hockey Canada is, whether he's found guilty or not.
New
I just
Orleans.
don't. I don't know if you want to come here and stand in front of the media horde and
Yeah.
answer these questions. You know, like
Yeah.
it'd probably be, if he does go again, I think a lot of those other guys would probably end up overseas, where Formanton was for a while.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know what'll happen with Carter Hart.
And I'm not hating on him. I've had nothing but great encounters with him. I'm just pointing this out. There is this desire, obviously an appetite to look at him, but I don't know if what he brings is better than what you already have.
It's a sideways move, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, they're very similar, but it's just, like I said, I think his playing style might fit the Edmonton Oilers a little bit better.
All right, so this is the article that we're having a deep dive on the goaltending here today. This is the article that Frank Saravalli threw out over at Daily Faceoff. Trade targets between the pipes. Okay, and once again, the thing that was disappointing to me about this is that I looked at it and I was like, oh, man, these are the same dudes everybody's talking about. There's no like special guy on here. You're like, oh, okay, now this is interesting. John Gibson, we talked about him a ton. Merzlikins, he's 31. Had worse numbers than Stuart Skinner on a worse team. But even some, I think the other analytics show like he's worst against chances off the rush. So then there's Thatcher Demko. There's Joel Hofer, who we can get to. And then free agency, there's Jake Allen, who's a UFA, and then all the other subpar unrestricted free agent goaltenders. And then unproven with upside, he lists off Michael DiPietro, who's a Group 6 UFA in Boston. He's had really good AHL numbers. Caden Primo in Montreal. And Tarasov, who we saw a little bit. He played about 69 games in the NHL as well, but they're a little bit, they've got some goaltending depth in Columbus. The Hofer one's very interesting because did you see what Doug Armstrong said today?
No, what did he say?
Basically, he laid out, he goes, we've approached free agency like Detroit and Boston did last year, where they have room to match on their RFAs, which
He
some other
expects a
teams
target.
didn't. Mind you, they could have matched Holloway. They had the room.
Yeah.
He said, you can, what do you say? You can come after him, but you're not going to get him. That was his quote. Like Armstrong was just like, go ahead.
Funny.
Yeah.
Come after him, but you're not getting him. Like they're going to match on Hofer. So I think we need to probably pump the brakes. You can still put out the offer sheet for it.
Sure.
But Armstrong can't go back now when he said you can come after him. You're not going to get him.
I like how he's daring
So,
other
I mean,
GMs.
it's basically, that's what he's doing. This is my shot across the bow that go ahead, try it, but we're just going to match on him. So,
Yeah.
so I think Hofer's probably off the list. And then the rest of the list is always injured Thatcher Demko, Merzlikins, who would get lit up behind the others when they play poorly. And John Gibson, who they could have traded for 3 years now and have not seemed to get him. And
Dregs was pretty fired up, ripping on the idea of Gibson. I kind of laughed. I went back and watched it because
you want to laugh, go watch Button today on the Oilers forward depth.
Yeah.
He yelled out at one point, do they hate Leon Draisaitl? Like he was, he was insane.
I miss Craig.
So what I'm
It's
saying
funny.
is here, like, this list sucks.
It does suck.
Like this list sucks.
There's no good options.
Like it's such a bad list that I'm kind of like, I think maybe Jake Allen would be the best option
Ew.
in a pairing with Stuart Skinner.
Awful.
Do it this way. Look, say like a hypothetical NHL team and you need a goaltender. All right. And that's the list. And you throw Stuart Skinner on that list of guys that are available. Who are you picking?
Stu Skinner.
Well, first of all, he's the most accomplished out of any of these guys.
Yeah.
Cheapest.
In 3 years.
He's going to be cheaper than most of them. Well, yeah. Merzlikins is $5.4 million. Gibson's $6.4 million. Demko's $5 million. Hofer, who knows what he'll end up being. And then Jake Allen is a 4 on a list of free agent goalies who are all 0s or 1s. Right? And
Yeah.
Stuart
Great way to
Skinner's still a
describe
6 or a 7, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
You're
So
picking Stuart Skinner out of all those guys.
Yeah. It's not ideal.
then what do you do? What do you do?
I honestly think at the end of the day,
I'll
Dusty,
put the
they run
pads
it back.
on. I'll do it.
Get Joaquin in there.
Gager's in. Damn it! I'll be the third goalie.
Poor Steve Lyons is going to be massaging him every single day.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. And I know you have a relationship with him, Gager. I don't know how well you know Dustin Schwartz, their goaltending coach.
Never met him.
But I know I've golfed with him a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I know that he's the guy who sits up behind us at the media thing, losing his mind all the time.
Stuff gets broken.
He's very, very emotional.
Yes.
But if we're sitting here going, can't find anyone else, Skinner hasn't been good enough. He's been coached by this guy for most of his career.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time for a different voice at that position.
I understand that.
If you're gonna be stuck with Stuart Skinner, then maybe he needs to be coached by somebody different. I mean, I don't know any other way around it. I mean, you're just gonna run it back the same thing. Maybe you could at least change your goaltending coach and see if it works, because it hasn't worked so far for him. You know, if you're just gonna run the entire whole group back again, I don't know why you would expect a different result.
Now, if you're Dusty Schwartz, you're going, what do you mean it hasn't worked? We got to the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row.
Well, that would be the pushback. You don't get a ring for getting.
Yeah, no, I know, but that would be the pushback, right? Like if you're like putting a guy on the spot, defend yourself and why you should keep this job. But maybe like Schwartzy's been there for like 10 years.
If you're going to run it back and you don't think it's working with Skinner,
yeah,
how are you going to justify it to anybody unless you say, hey, maybe we get him a different coach?
Okay, and I'll hand it off to Gager because he has vastly superior knowledge in this in a second. But Schwartzy and Stu chooses to work with Schwartzy in the offseason, right?
Yeah.
Also not working.
Yeah. I know, but
I'm
like,
sorry, but it's the truth.
He's your guy, but you're working with Schwartz, and then you're like, all right, we're done with Justin Schwartz as an organization. We're bringing in another guy. Does that create conflict, kind of, and different messaging? Skinner
could also get a different guy in the offseason too, though.
And listen, you'd have to ask, what do you want to do?
Time for a different voice.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the route I was going. Maybe a change. Like there's all these goalie summits in like Europe and stuff, and getting, you go talk to some Finnish goalie coaches, some Swedish, like someone different, a different voice, or. I'm pretty sure that the Florida Panthers are the first team that started that with Luongo. They've got like 8 people in their goalie kind of
department.
Yeah, goalie coaching
just for Bobrovsky.
Well, he's a Hall of Famer. He's odd though. He's odd. Yeah. He goes on the ice by himself.
Do they really do that? Are they rolling that much?
They have like a system of, and it has a staff of itself. It's its own like mini department. And
are other teams doing that too?
Well, Calgary has a little bit of that with who's the
LaBarbera. Jason LaBarbera is there.
The only one that I heard about is quite extensive is the one in Florida, and you can't really argue with what their success is. So if we know Jeff Jackson's listening right now. Jeff, maybe that's time to develop a goaltender department where it's not just Dustin Schwartz, having a different voice, a different view of goaltending, and putting it all together. I don't know if Dustin Schwartz.
I didn't know that they. But then that's not your choice. It's the organization's choice.
But I think it might be time because you can't. If Tommy brings up a good point, if you're going to arbitration with Dustin Schwartz, I mean, he's got a pretty good resume over the last few years with these goaltenders, right? But I think maybe just another few more sets of eyes that can break it down and maybe make a difference that way.
The official title of the department is so Luongo's role with the Panthers is special advisor to the GM, but he oversees the Panthers goaltending excellence department. Goaltending excellence department. And of course they would work with everybody in the system. It's not just Bobrovsky. You got the minor league teams, you go to the ECHL guys.
Who's their goalie coach?
Robbie Tallis.
Yeah, so God, he's got a great story.
Rob Tallis?
What's his story?
Well, he had like
for Dallas.
Did he say it?
Yeah, no,
okay.
he was playing in Finland, and he all of a sudden like he went to the fridge, I think, and he started like to getting tunnel vision, and basically fell back, passed out, and I forget I think he had a heart attack or something.
What?
Really?
But it was because of certain medication that he'd been taking over and over again in Boston. It was supposedly, and he was part of this massive class action lawsuit because this thing, he almost died. In fact,
Really?
yeah.
Jeez. Well, now here he is. So they established this excellence department in 2020. And I haven't seen the updated since then, but I see Roberto
Yeah, look at
Luongo,
that.
Rob Tallis,
Yeah.
Leo Luongo,
And isn't he a
Francois
legend?
Allaire.
Yeah, Francois Allaire's like
Is Allaire
he's
still there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that was
Or
5
is
years
that-
ago.
Oh, maybe not. I thought I heard his name though on the broadcast. Maybe. So
It is an
something like
interesting
that.
approach.
I think. Look, it's such a. You don't win without good goaltending, right? At the end of the day, so why not throw you throw money at other places. Why not throw a few bucks behind an actual group of people and get really good people to break down the position and make it better? Because you got a pretty good blueprint of a guy like he's not a diamond, right?
Right.
But I think he could be. And maybe this is the way. We fixed it.
so
Show over.
just some other things here. So you had Roberto Luongo, Rob Tallis, and then I see the director of goaltending developments, Leo Luongo.
Yeah.
Then goaltending consultant Francois Allaire, goaltending consultant Maxime Ouellette, and European goaltending coach Jurgen Penker. So they've got
They're a
guys
team.
all throughout the
Yeah.
system working with goalies. That's interesting. I learned something new today. That's maybe
I
maybe you
found
go
that
get
was-
Vanasek now because he's been a part of Florida's
Oh, God.
goaltending department.
It is interesting the way they approached and have changed things in Florida. And obviously it took a few years for everything to kind of take. But maybe teams look at this. Because I know for the longest time it was Schwartzy up here and Sly Rodrigue,
Yeah.
Ollie's dad, down in Bakersfield. And I think he would go to Wichita a little bit.
That's
And then-
old school stuff, though.
Yeah, yeah. Outside of that, the Oilers haven't really employed a goaltending department outside of one or two. I remember Freddie Chabot was a one-man
Yeah.
team. Then he brought in Sly Rodrigue. Pete Peters was the guy before Freddie.
Pete was, he was my first NHL goalie coach.
Was he really?
A little bit different thinking with
Yeah.
with Pete. Stand up, cut down the angle. They beat you. They beat you.
That's it.
Oh, and then go into the weight room and kill yourself. That was it.
He's a funny man.
Oh,
I
he's
have a lot of
great,
time for
man.
that guy. He's awesome.
We should get him on.
He would be great because he still kicks it around town.
Oh yeah, he's
He
working
had
on the
he had
farm.
a couple of my favorite goalie cards. 'Cause I
Oh
used to-
yeah,
this one here, the Steve Yzerman rookie year one. Peters is kind of like patrolling over. Then, unfortunately, the year after, he had one where he was helmet off in a warm up, which always sucked
He looks
getting
like
a
a
goalie
player
card
in
like that.
one.
But
strong
yeah.
as an ox. That guy.
Yeah, like this one right here. That's my favorite Pete Peters card. Is when
If
he's
they beat you, they beat you.
that's such a good look. Anyway, we'll see what happens between the pipes. I do want to get to the number crunchers here. Brought to you by Play Alberta. All of our EST specials already up over at Play Alberta. If you've not yet downloaded the Play Alberta app, you can download the app. You can play in the casino. You can do sports betting. There's live dealers. You can get your lottery on there as well. And, Play Alberta is still sort of growing in the right direction. We're happy to be on board that train. And yeah, we've got the parlay that we threw up on the lock shop today. Blue Jays to win, Padres to win, Kansas City to win. It's been boosted from plus 361 to plus 400. So it's 4-1 right now. 3 other options sitting over there right now as well. And we'll get the grandest of parlays from the DJ and Dan posted up there in a little bit as well. All right, here's the number crunchers for you because you pop on, you hop online for a bit and you see, the Oilers might be interested in bringing Kapanen back. And the Oilers are going to talk to Connor
Why?
Brown. And the Oilers are going to bring back Corey Perry. So over or under for number crunchers today, 1.5 of Perry, Kapanen, and Brown returning. So are you bringing back one of those guys or 2 or more of those guys?
In a perfect world, I would take the under and just say Corey Perry. I do have time for Connor Brown. The Kapanen thing, I don't care for personally. I just think like he was good in small doses. So I want to say under, but it'll probably be over. And I think it's Brown and Perry. I don't understand the Kapanen
You don't think it'll
design.
be Kapanen?
I would, in a perfect world, and I would assume you would want an upgrade on Kasperi Kapanen. You'd say thank you. We appreciate you. You were a good Oiler for a year. Good luck.
We can sit here and talk about goaltending all we want, but if they roll out a right side next year, that's Hyman, Perry, Brown, and Kapanen. Why are you expecting anything to be different when the Florida Panthers forwards embarrassed you in the Stanley Cup final?
Fair point.
Right? So I don't know, Gager. What do you think? Over or under 1.5 of that group of guys being back? And I'm not including Arvidsson because we sort of assume he'll be gone.
Yeah.
The only one I really have time for is Corey Perry. And even then I'm kind of, but you know what you're going to get, but he has to be in the right role.
Right.
Like he is in bottom 6 role that, 9-10 minutes a night, once in a while gets thrown up on the top line if you need it. And he can do that, but you can't have Corey Perry outplaying that side and have you be your only option. And I'm not saying that is because Corey Perry's bad, because he's going to get to a level where it's actually really quite good, I think. But he can't be playing better than, he can't be your best option, even at Corey Perry's best at 48 years old or however old he is.
Yes. I'm with you because I said it on that one post game after they lost a week ago today. I said, guys, your top right winger going into game 6 was Corey Perry. He had a great playoffs. He had a very good regular season. He was awesome. He more than you expected from him. But the fact that he was your top line right winger in game 6 with the season on the line, Stanley Cup on the line, I think is telling in a bad way. And I stand by that the other day. If he was third or fourth line right winger going into the game, you're like, well, that's probably where he should be. He's giving you a good postseason. Give him some time on the top line, like platoon him in for a shift here, a shift there on the power play. Yeah, okay, but having him on your top line to start the game and he's your top line right winger. I know Hyman was hurt, but still, it's just like,
you can't have, okay, Hyman's out, Perry, like it's got to be.
That's what I mean.
Everything moves up, but Perry doesn't jump the line.
He was fourth line right wing game 5.
Yeah.
And then they shoot him back up to first line right wing. And it's like,
that's a tribute to Corey Perry playing so well. But you should have 2 other people in that position also raising the level of their game to a point where they move up, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. Happy on the nasty chat says, Kapanen scored the OT winner against Vegas, Tommy. I hope you're being like facetious and sarcastic.
He might be messing with you a little bit, but maybe not.
That doesn't qualify him as a guy you bring back because he mucked a goal at a crucial moment. Like, thank you again. Like, thank you, Kasperi. You were good in small doses. You scored a big goal. Appreciate it. Good luck next year somewhere else.
Too inconsistent.
Yeah.
And none of them killed penalties to save their lives.
Kapanen did, but they were 66%.
But they all suck. I mean, anybody who killed penalties on this team last year should be embarrassed. You cost your team probably the Stanley Cup.
Bad penalty kill.
Like the penalty kill was atrocious. So we sit here, like you sit there and you see Bowman say, we got to do something up front. We have to do something on the back end. And so far, the only thing I'm sort of assuming is 100%. Well, 2 things. Jeff Skinner is not re-signing.
Right. Yeah.
And Victor Arvidsson will be traded. So that really hoses last year's free agency day for Jeff really Jackson.
Blew up, yeah.
But like those are the only 2 things that I'm sort of certain are going to happen. I still might think they come back with all these other guys. And then we'll obviously see what happens with Evander Kane as well. So, yeah. Max Bazuzu says, does Kapanen get a tribute video?
There are no tribute videos under Jeff Jackson. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but they haven't done one under Jeff Jackson.
Yeah, but who would get one anyway?
CeCe.
That didn't happen.
I don't think there's anybody around the league that would get one. Is there?
Taylor Hall.
He got one.
He got one?
I don't think there's anybody that's come back since Jeff Jackson took over that's worthy of a tribute video.
This is very true.
Fogle.
Not after what he said. No, the days of the Mark Arcabello tribute videos are gone. Long gone. And that's probably a good thing. They gave Arco one. I remember that.
Oh, God.
And, no, they didn't.
Yeah. What? And he's like, really? I got one? And he's like, yeah.
What did they show on it?
Like 2 highlights.
Like, What would have been on an Arcobello tribute
Did
video?
he score a shorthanded breakaway goal?
Arco was awesome.
Arcobello scored 11 goals with the Oilers. They must have put all 11 of them into the tribute video.
Didn't Yamamoto get one?
I'm pretty sure he was a top liner in Edmonton back in the day.
He was.
Well, he topped out at 7 goals, 5 assists in 36 games in 14-15.
Big contributor to eventually finishing low enough to get McDavid. So
That's right.
maybe that's why they give him a tribute video.
Arco's.
It's true. Oh, McDavid getting drafted.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark Arcobello. Took Pauly Cy at I think Yale. Yeah, Yale. And I remember talking. I'm like, so Mark, what'd you take in school? He's like, Pauly Cy. Don't ask me about politics. I'm like, okay, fine. And he's still playing in Lugano.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a perfect transition then.
Oh, here we go.
Because I mentioned it this morning. It was last night. Jesse Puljujarvi's final North American game, because I was looking on his elite prospects and it said he's rumored to be transferring. You know how it is. And he's rumored to be transferring to HC Lugano.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's
where he's gonna end up.
The Golden Gates, man, at the end of the career going there.
Lugano's beautiful, isn't it? Is that the one right by the lake? Is that on wasn't Kassian in Lugano for a little bit
2
after
years
here
there.
too?
Yeah, he went there.
Didn't you? When I remember talking to you about that, and you're like, yeah, he's going there to retire.
It's an absolute joke that you can play hockey there. It's an absolute joke.
Like one of the nicest places in the world is basically what you're saying?
Yeah. It's those shots of a lot of movies like Lake Como in Italy. That's what it's like.
Wow.
It's just there's vineyards going up. Like we had training camp there when I played with Gordon. We went down there for a training camp, and it was one of the nicest places on the planet.
Koskinen was there for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I don't think he was anywhere this past year. So
Well,
he went and did his 2 years in Lugano and probably thought, well, if I'm not going to play here anymore, I'll just stay and live.
yeah.
It'll work out
Probably
pretty well.
would. And it's funny because it's in Switzerland, but they all speak it's Italian because it's right close to the Italian border. So
Really?
It's just everyone speaks Italian
That's cool.
God.
and probably 4 other languages.
Yeah, that's the neat part of that area. Could you see Koskinen maybe being a sommelier right now?
With the wine?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did he like wine? Was that
I don't
the thing?
know, but like if you're gonna retire there, it's vineyards all over the place, and you'd be like, oh, I'll become a sommelier, which is very
That's
hard
just
to
a person
do.
who really likes wine and then
Well-
knows lots about it.
No, there's different levels of sommeliers. Like you can just do a weekend course and get
Okay.
like that level. The
Your
second level,
certificate.
yeah, the second level becomes a little bit more intense, and then you get to the third level, and that's where you got to put a lot of money into, and you get into the point where you have to start recognizing grapes from different regions and
Holy
things like that.
smokes!
Yeah.
It's
That's crazy.
yeah. I was doing a TV thing with one of the sommeliers. He's from Vegas, and he was talking about because he's like a level 5.
Okay.
And there's only like 300 in the world. So
What?
Yeah.
he was saying on the west coast of North America and South America, I'm the only sommelier that can do certain things on the whole
Holy
coast
smokes.
of both continents.
That's kind of cool.
And he was an awesome guy.
Was he?
man. Oh yeah.
Well,
He
I
was
think you'd be in a good mood if that's your job. Like, that's kind of neat. Right? All right, what's coming up in EST afternoons here, Coob? What's happening, man?
Lots of NHL rumor discussion, of course. Oilers, what are they going to do? How are they going to approach free agency? The draft is this week as well on Friday. And Elks at Bombers this Thursday. We will have Tyrell Ford joining the show.
very nice.
Jonathan Bailey will check in as well from the Hockey News to discuss the Trevor Zegras trade to the Flyers and Philadelphia's approach to the draft this Friday.
Could be looking for a goalie as well in Philadelphia. They had a bunch of big, tall guys I never heard of the last
of
few
Russians,
years that didn't
yeah.
work. Yeah.
And the talk it thing, we'll probably get into that. So.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Excellent.
All right, so yeah, Gager's on that show. He's gonna stay in that chair.
Yeah.
Hernan Salas is gonna slide in here. Hernan reeling right now after a loss to Yukon Jack at Tecmo
It's always
today.
a real tough 2 hours. When
sorry,
he's-
buddy.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Whatever.
He's practicing.
He's working on his game right now.
I think he's playing something else. All right. Two Guys A Goalie brought to you by GS Construction. They're hiring now. They were hiring yesterday. They're hiring tomorrow. They're always hiring. Become a part of the great team today by visiting gsconstruction.ca or their page on indeed.ca. For the past 50 years, the foundation of GS Construction has been built on efficiency, quality, safety. Take your your career to the next level, join the team at GS Construction today. Tommy, thanks for sitting in.
Thanks for having me.
Nice having the old, man, we got to get Kassian here, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Did I ever do a show with you at Little Break?
Yeah, we did.
With you too.
I did a couple. I filled in.
I
for
know
him
you
a
did,
couple
but I
of
thought you
times.
filled in for me. Maybe
I think
it
I filled in once for like everybody.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
We'll have to go back and watch.
For Gager, Tommy, I'm Dusty. We'll talk to you later.